Hello folks, welcome back, welcome back. For those of you who are returning, and just plain old welcome to those of you who are here for the first time. This is Mike from Mike's Magic Auto Detailing and Paint Enhancement here in what has been a sunny day in Sharpsburg, Georgia. There you have it. Yep, Sally is grumbling because I've relegated her back outside again due to this new project being here. I had to spend some time today putting my canopy back together from that last storm we had. But anyway, here is the new project. This is I believe it's a 2014 BMW 435i. It's a hardtop convertible, which is very cool, very cool. It's a neat little car. This owner has had it for a few years, and she bought it, I think, used after it was a year or so old, and it has all the typical paint problems that I see a lot on, vehicles that have been around a while and been driven on a regular basis. This owner is a real estate lady, and she said she's run it through the car wash a couple of times, but not often, and it spends a lot of time in the garage. So it's not as bad as some that I see. But it does have some problems, which I'll go over here in a minute. And one of the first things I want to tell you guys about is that, of course, one of the first things I do is put the paint thickness gauge on it to see how much paint I have to work with, which fairly typical. There was an average of 4 to 5 mils of paint around the car, which is all right. It's not excellent, but it does limit how deep you can go into the clear coat. That's about the thickness of the wrapper on a pack of cigarettes, folks, if that thick. But one thing I did want to point out, and this was unbeknownst to her, and she's got some kind of agreement or something that when she bought it, it had never been wrecked and never been repainted, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how good those guarantees are, but went around the entire vehicle, roof, everything, and it was about 4 mils or so. But this fender right here, when I tested it, was 6 and over. There is only one plausible explanation that I can think of for that. This fender has been repainted, which means that something happened, and they either had to replace the fender and then paint it, or just repaint the one that was on there. I don't know, have no way of knowing that, but you will never convince me that this panel has not been repainted. And Miss Vicky, you are welcome to share this video with the dealership or whoever. I don't care. There's no other explanation that I can think of or have ever been offered that would explain that kind of a difference in paint thickness. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The other thing I wanted to point out, folks, yeah, those tires look nice and shiny. But I won't try to get down on the floor and show you guys, but all along behind each tire down there is some gooey, yucky stuff, which is tire sling from the coating. What that tells me is whoever coated these tires last, yeah, they look good. They look good, and apparently it's lasted a fairly good while, but the cheaper retail level tire coatings, for the most part, are all petroleum or silicone based. They will not fully cure, and what happens is, due to different things, it will sling off and get on your paint. So I might have to strip all that off, Lord knows how long it's going to take. If y'all remember that last brand new Ram truck I did that only had 400 miles on it, they had put similar stuff on it, and it took me all day long to get it off. Of course, tire coatings can be troublesome to remove anyway, so I'm already anticipating I'm going to have to drag my steamer out to get that. And when I do these wheels, there's all kind of gunk down in here that I'm going to have to try to get out. There again, steam, steam, steam. Oh boy. But this car, and I'll endeavor to show you some of it, it's got some problems that I'm going to try to be attacking. It has a lot of the what we call RDSs or RIDs, the random deep scratches. Some are worse than this. What this is something, and I've smeared a little bit trying to test it out. What this is some sort of contaminant has landed on the vehicle and was allowed to bond to the clear coat, and I believe it may have embedded a little bit. I'll know more once I get it strip washed and clay barred. Hoping clay bar will take a lot of that off, but we shall see. I may end up having to wet sand that a lot. I already know that these deeper scratches that I see, like there's some right there, those are rock chips. That's going to have to be sanded. That'll probably have to be wet sanded, not damp sanded. Some more there. I don't think there's much I can do about those, except maybe minimize them. There's another thing of contaminants there. And the entire hood, I don't know if y'all can pick them up in this light or not. I've moved her car inside because I won't have time to really start on this thing today, but I'll get up first thing in the morning and start on it, because I think tomorrow is about my only day that the weather is going to be good enough to do outside work comfortably. I'm trying to see if y'all can pick, I don't know if y'all can pick up on those scratches. Most of that is what we call micro marring. I think you can pick up on some of them now. That is from improper or inadequate washing methods. Sometimes when you wax a car, if you're not careful and you don't do it properly, you will scratch it waxing it. Those are what we call glove marks. But there you can see there's another rid right down there. Lots of those over this entire vehicle, which will have to be attacked differently than just buffing. Just buffing is not going to do it, folks. You can see in there on this piece of plastic, that's what we call piano black. I've discussed that with you guys before. Everybody uses really cheap paint on those, and then, as we're fond of saying, it'll scratch just because you're in the other room thinking about it. Yeah, buddy. And I'm not sure what this little trim piece here is painted with, but as you can see, it looks pretty rough. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to attack that. That's another one of those areas I'll have to start working on it and see what happens with different products. And you get up here, this is a hard top convertible. Oh, as you can see, there's a lot of scratching on top of this thing. Oh, I'm not sure about all these. My fingernail's catching on that one. Hey, John. Hey, buddy. Some over there. The roof is just covered in scratches. Oh, man. Contaminants, you name it. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. It's had a couple little... There's a little dimple in the paint right there. I don't know if I can pick that up in the camera. Maybe from hail. There's one there and another one a little bit further over there. I'm not a very good cameraman, so I don't know how to make it show up. But the glass seems in really good shape. So I could probably just do topical polish on this, which I probably polish the glass on 98% of the vehicles I do, because that's the only way to really get them looking spiffy that'll last. And there you can see there's another really deep scratch right there. Not sure what that's from. Of course, both of the doors have the usual scratching around the door handles. Of course, it's worse on the driver's side for obvious reason. All kind of light scratches. I think those will go away right there completely. That one maybe not. That one maybe not. Those are really deep. That white is probably primer you see showing through. I'm hoping it's just transfer of some sort, and that white will clean away. I don't know. I'll just have to give it a shot and see. Another deep scratch there. Ooh-wee. Right there in front of the fuel filler door. Man, look at those. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee. And that's typical. Another big long scratch right there. Man, oh man, starts on the trunk deck up here, and then goes all the way down there. Man, oh man, what a shame, what a shame. The trunk, oh, lots of micro marring on the trunk, and I guarantee you most of that is from the car wash. Look at all that micro marring, folks. Now, I'd say 99% of that will go away permanently. Not to say that somebody won't re-scratch it, but most of that will go away. Man, oh man. And typically I see a lot, the top of the back bumper is scratched and marred up pretty badly. And that's from a lot of times when they'll open the trunk, or as they're opening it, they'll prop their foot up on there or set stuff on it to load into the trunk. Very, very typical. Very, very typical. Some of these scratches here, like that one right there, so deep, it is not, some of that is not going to go away. It is just not going to go away. Oh, man. Another really deep scratch right there. I think y'all can see that maybe. Oh, my. Continuing around, more deep scratches. Ooh, lordy. Man. Holy cow. I think that one's all the way down to the substrate, y'all. You see a whole host of scratching in there. No idea what it comes from. But a lot of times on the trunk deck also, you'll find that people will set stuff on the trunk for whatever the reason, slide it off, and i.e. then they scratch the trunk deck. Oh man, now I work my way around to the driver's side. Look at that. I don't even think I have to say anything about it. There are some other scratches in here. I'm going to see if I can pick that up in the, no, I'm not going to be able to get it on the camera. Like there's one right there, but there's several along in here where I suspect the dealership did it. They've had touch-up paint put on them. Oh, big one right there. See that? Man, I wished I knew something about cameras. I know nothing. I push the button and start shooting. You can see how it continues on up here. Another deep one right there. Some really deep scratches. One right there. A crosshatch one right there. Oh man. Look at the scratching around this door handle, would you? This is I told you the driver's side's usually worse, John, for obvious reasons. But Miss Vicky, she doesn't have really too much in the way of fingernails. but it don't take much of a fingernail to scratch that. Rings and whatever. Some more scratching along in there. Like I say, the glass isn't too shabby. There's some scratching on this one because it goes up and down more often. Man, oh man, oh man. A little bit of PPF film right down in there. I'm not sure why they did that, but anyway, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Back around to the hood. The headlights aren't too bad. That's not included in this budget. Initially, she wanted the interior done, but that's not going to be included in this go-around. Because this is going to cost a pretty penny, y'all. And we decided not to do the titanium coating on the paint because she don't anticipate keeping it but maybe a year or two. We shall see, we shall see. I've got limited time available to me, or I would be tempted to go ahead and use a lower, maybe a 2 or 3 year coating, and I may, if time permits, do that anyway on at least some of these horizontal surfaces. But at any rate, the entire car will get strip washed, deconned, clay barred, and then we'll start working on the different panels. First step will be attacking the deeper scratches with wet sanding, damp sanding, whichever is most appropriate. Some of it by hand, some of it by machine. It just depends on the situation. But that's after I do a test spot. You know, and for example, this panel, the hood, will probably be done differently than that panel I showed you guys over there that has been repainted, because it's got much more paint on it than this does. So you have to be very cautious when there's only 4 mils of paint. There's probably 2 mils at best of clear coat. So you want to preserve as much clear coat as absolutely possible. So some of these deeper scratches I'm not going to be able to get too aggressive with. But just to put it in perspective for you, John, the last vehicle I did, it was about 4 or 5 mils, about the same as this one. It was an Acura, and I got pretty aggressive on the hood on that one, and I tested the paint thickness before, and I went back and tested it after. Of course, I monitored the temperature of the paint as I was buffing, and after, the readings were negligible. I had removed very little clear coat. Sometimes, you know, damp sanding is much less aggressive than just initially grabbing your rotary buffer and a wool pad and going after them all with that. That will remove much more than damp sanding will. Of course, you're going to have to go back maybe and do that anyway, but you don't have to really dig on it and get hard. But anyway, I'll be getting started on this one in the morning. Of course, I'll start with the wheels and tires, and that cheap coating on there, that's probably going to take, I would guess, about an hour per wheel. But I'm going to have to get up early and hustle, because like I say, I think the weather's turning crappy after tomorrow. So I want to get all the outside work done, because once I get it back in here, I don't care what it does outside. I've got my garages, I've got heat and air in here so that I can work in inclement weather. The weather doesn't bother me, but it bothers the car, it bothers the pads, the products, you know, even those foam pads. You know, if it gets too cold, they don't want to work just right. And your compounds and polishes and all that stuff, none of that stuff wants to work right when it's too cold or too humid or too hot. You know, they only like a certain temperature range. So all that's going to have to be done inside. Sometimes I'd rather do it outside, just when the weather's nice, but also, when you get ready to start putting your sealants, your coatings, that kind of stuff on, I like to do that inside with the door closed. It's kind of like painting. I want to keep as much dust and dirt out of it as possible till it cures. Man. Because you don't want to be wiping across the paint, putting a sealant on or a coating or whatever, after you've spent all those hours removing all these scratches, and then turn right around and re-scratch the paint. You just don't want to do that. I'll probably use several different types of buffers, no telling how many different types of pads, and probably use 8 to 10 wash mitts to washing this thing. Always work clean, and probably I'm going to guess 15 different pads when I get to polishing on it, and several different grits of sandpaper, 2 different types of sandpaper. So you can see I got my work cut out for me. I'm going to try to get this car done in a week's time, hopefully, because she said she needs it next week. We shall see. It just takes however long it takes. I don't cut corners. I don't stop till I'm satisfied, folks. If you have to figure your schedule out a little bit better, hey, sorry about that, but it happens. Anyway, like, tag, share, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, all that kind of stuff, you guys. But this is a cool little vehicle. I like this vehicle a lot. Anyway, thank you for watching, John. I appreciate you, brother, sticking with me through all my long-windedness. Is that a word? Windedness? I don't care. It is now. All right, folks. I'll catch you later with an update.